Good afternoon. A quorum has been established, and I'd like to call the November 15th, 2021 meeting to order. We will briefly go into closed session to discuss personnel matters. Can I get a motion to convene into closed session?
Madam Chair, the board would like to convene into closed session to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel information pursuant to GS 143-318, 11A1, A5, and A6, and GS 115C-319, and to consult with the board attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to GS 143-318, 11A3.
Second.
I've got a motion by Board Member Tally Brain, second by Vice Chair Lehman, that we convene into closed session. Any discussion? Hearing none, would we vote, please? By the voting sign of, by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We'll convene into closed session for a few moments. Welcome back to open session. At this time, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the superintendent's contract to hire Keith Sutton as a superintendent, subject to salary specifications in Section 4 provided by Dr. Kedra Whitaker.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the superintendent contract to hire Keith Sutton as superintendent, subject to salary specifications in Section 4 provided by Dr. Whitaker.
Bird,
Madam Chair,
second.
I could second that.
Motion has been properly made by Vice Chair Lehman, second by Board Member Long, that we accept the motion to hire superintendent, the motion to approve the superintendent's contract to hire Keith Sutton as superintendent, subject to salary specifications in Section 4 provided by Dr. Kedra Whitaker. Any discussion? Hearing none, would you vote, please? First electronically, then by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
So we have a new superintendent. Congratulations.
So we would like to welcome our new permanent superintendent, Mr. Keith Sutton.
Yes.
Would you like to say anything, Mr. Sutton?
I would just like to say thank you all again for the, not just for the vote of confidence, but the trust that you have imposed in me to improve education, to improve students, and to work to support the faculty, the employees of the Warren County school system, and the parents and families of the Warren County community. This has long been a dream of mine. I know that my parents are extremely proud. As I mentioned before, they both are educators. They both are teachers. And so I know that this is a dream come true to them as well. And so I look forward to the work. I look forward to working with each one of you as a board to, again, improve conditions and education outcomes for all students and families and the community of Warren County. So thank you for the opportunity, and let's get to work.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mara.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the action item of school improvement plans. We will start with school improvement plans with Merion Board Elementary. Principal Davis will come before us to present her plan.
So as Principal Davis,
They excited.
Are they just getting it?
They just getting it.
This is
That's a good thing.
as Principal Davis is coming, we'll be hearing tonight from each one of our 7 individual schools. They will take just a few minutes to share at a very high level their goals, their targets, their aspirations, and how they plan to move their individual schools forward. After that, board members, you'll have a few minutes to ask any questions, share any thoughts or concerns with the leadership of each school. Then these will subsequently be approved by you and then submitted to the Department of Public Instruction. Again, this is an annual process that requires a submission of the school improvement plans to the state. And so we look forward to hearing from each one of our esteemed leaders. Ms. Davis, you're up first, so we'll turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Sims, Vice Chairman Lehman, board members Ms. Byrd, Ms. Long, Ms. Tally Brame, Superintendent Sutton, and all others that are assembled here. It gives me pleasure to present Merion Boyd School Improvement Plan, where we are empowered by innovation. Next slide. This slide shows our goals for this school year, and we are looking to increase reading, math, and science proficiency by 10% on the state and district assessments. We choose 10% because our scores dropped last year due to various factors. However, we wanted to build back up to that C that we had from our last school report card in 2019. So we want to continue to do this. We're going to focus on attendance and parent involvement. And we know that we know that students learn better when they're at school, and we want to continue to get that support from their parents, and we know together that will help them grow. And with that, we will also focus on their social emotional learning to help students manage what they are dealing with, so they are dealing with on so many different levels, such as death, illnesses, and bullying, just to name a few. But we want to focus on these goals. Next slide. These are 4 of our indicators that we are focusing on to go along with meeting our goals. And those are our 4 indicators that we're going to be focusing on in our school improvement plan. Next slide. Merion Boyd is in its 4th year as a restart school. We have been using these flexibilities to get out of the low performing status over the years. And we plan to continue to build on these flexibilities to keep us out of the low performing status. Next slide. How are we going to get there? Our Merion Board School Improvement Team feels that these are some of the steps that we need to meet our goals. We're going to try to have a daily intervention block that's going to help fill the gaps of the students who have in all of our core subjects. We're going to analyze our data so that we can focus on specific learning needs in our professional learning communities and our multi-tiered system of supports to help us continue to analyze that data. We're going to get the necessary people in place to help meet those needs. And we're going to continue with the Google platform to motivate students to continue to be empowered to learn creatively, all while we're promoting the social emotional learning so students and staff will not get burned out. We know that we want them to be able to manage all these things, manage these trying times that they are facing. And we are encouraging good behavior and attendance because we know that it is imperative for them to be able to help meet their goals. And of course, getting the parents involved and on board to support us will be the icing on the cake. So these are just some of the steps that we're going to take to make sure that our students are growing and meeting our goals. Are there any questions?
Just one question. How will your school improvement plan change teaching practices?
Say that.
Change teaching practices.
Change teaching practices? So you're asking how are the goals going to help
Teachers.
the teachers? Okay, so our goals are going to help our teachers because we're going to make sure that our teachers have what they need as resources to support our students. We're going to, our goals, we want to focus on the social emotional to help have our students involved in making sure that they know what they need as far as being social. being able to deal with problems and issues that they may have in order so that they can focus on their learning. And we're going to also provide the professional learning resources, the professional development activities for our staff so that they'll have what they need in order to be successful in teaching our students.
I'm trying to remember, as soon as you took the slide off, I forgot what I was saying, but you used the word incentivize several times. And to me, am I reading it as external incentives? And my question is, how can we incentivize kids so that need is not externally rewarded, but internally rewarded? How can we continue to work on kids doing something not for the incentive, but because it's the right thing to do, they feel good about it, as opposed to incentivizing with a tree or 30 minutes or something like that? Are you thinking of things like that we can do with kids?
Yes, because we know that students, if they do better when they're at school. So we want them to want to come to school and have make learning in a creative and innovative way so that they will want to come to school every day. We try to right now have students, we have the one-on-one with the Chromebooks and things like that. The students have those, but we try to make learning so fun that they want to come to school to be a part of those things. So not just having the physical, tangible incentives, but we just want them to be able to want to come to school so they can continue to learn and be excited about learning.
That's great. I would love to see.
I have a question. I can appreciate reading your presentation and how you talked a lot about how you employ activities in order to get the parents involved in community, and you talked a little bit about donuts for dads and I think muffins for moms or something like that.
Yes.
Doing all of those things, I think they're great strategies. But you specifically said that you were going to increase math and reading proficiencies by 10%. Can you give me a little bit about, or give us a little bit more unpacking about how you're going to do that with your MTSS coordinator and maybe utilizing your assistant principal to assist you with making that happen?
Yes, what we're planning to do, the donuts for dad and muffins with moms are just ways to incentives to get the parents there.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get them there, we talk to them about things that they could do to better help their
Great.
child at home as well.
Great.
So we also share different strategies they can do at home. We give them some handouts and some things, some literature that will help them and help their child at home.
Okay.
Sometimes we've also given them other items that they could take home and use to help their children.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as our MTSS
Mm-hmm.
person that we have hired, as well as our assistant principal, what we're doing is we all go to their the professional learning communities, which is our PLCs, with our teachers on a weekly basis, and we're analyzing the data. We're working with teachers on the data. We're going into classrooms to assist with the interventions. All of us are all part of the intervention period where we're helping our teachers, but we're all on board trying to help our students in any way we can. So every person within the school, MTSS coordinator, counselor, assistant principal, we all go into the classrooms to assist teachers with the interventions for students
Okay.
as well. In addition, we are also working with the teachers on helping them understand the data and how we can better use that data to drive our instruction.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I like the way you empower your team, your teachers and your other staff. But my question is, how will you document progress on a regular basis and, inspect and give feedback on progress?
Yes, we are working, our MTSS coach is also working with the teachers and all staff members, and we are documenting student data on a weekly basis. There is a tracking sheet that she has created that we're using that each student is documenting where they are on each standard. So then that will help us to know where we need to go. So that's how we're documenting student data, and we're having sessions, MTSS meetings and sessions to kind of explain how to read that data that we're collecting.
Well, Ms. Davis, I did have a question, but you've already answered the question.
All right, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, thank you so much, Ms. Davis, for that presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Northside K-8, Principal Dunbar.
Gotta have some motivation, ain't it? I love it.
What they have over there?
Hello. Good evening.
Hello. Hello. How are you?
Oh, okay, probably do it quickly. I'll keep my glasses on. But good evening, distinguished board members. It is a pleasure to be in your presence again. And good evening, Superintendent Sutton. Congratulations on your appointment. We wish you well.
Thank you.
For a school improvement plan, and this is for Northside. So you can, all right. So the table of contents, I'm gonna go through it rather quickly because we only have 5 minutes. So our vision, mission, core beliefs, data analysis, restart, school goals and strategies in our summary. So you can just go ahead. I'll just do this so I can see, so I can change it. Okay, thank you. So our vision statement is the same, providing a safe, caring, learning environment. So we're still focusing on that, the social and emotional development of our students to achieve academic success. Thank you. Our next one. All righty, appreciate that. Right? Okay. And our mission statement, once again, by developing positive relationships, high expectations, rigorous differentiation. That's how we're looking at moving our students for our instructional purposes. Okay. Core beliefs, working with stakeholders together to create what we call a dynamic environment where students are thriving. Our indicators from NC STAR, we will still disaggregate the data as far as our classroom data, doing the drill downs. The other part that we'll be working on is professional development needs based on, once again, what the data has in store for us. Our multi-tiered assessment, which is that multi-tiered support services, which is included in that, that's aligned with our evidence-based instructional strategies for students and to reach them across all the tiers. Next one. The next item pertains to, in this case, our online hybrid blended learning approach. That's also an NC STAR. The teachers will continue to utilize that in terms of, even though our students are face-to-face, but we are still using a lot of our online services for the students to enhance their learning opportunity. Next one. Okay. Communication, once again, with our stakeholders, which is our parents on a regular basis, and our expectations of them and what they need from us will also be our priority indicator and our goal for this year. Okay. Our data analysis, this was the last one that the state had. Currently, they're holding us harmless for the 2021 and the 2020 school year due to COVID-19. Based on our data, it has dropped tremendously due to the impact of COVID-19. These are some of the stats so that the general public can see. Prior to COVID-19, this is where Northside currently was. So 2019 is what they're having. Currently, our school score, we would have used last year's data. Unfortunately, it would have gone from a D and it would have been an F due to the COVID-19 and switching to virtual and students staying home, as well as sicknesses. So we're trying to address that this year since students are able to come in. Next one. And you could just go through all the slides quickly because that's just old data, so I just want to go ahead. And that's just what they're holding us harmless. That's what's staying on there for the state. Okay, you can keep going.
All right, thank you. And so how do we get this information? We're looking at our iReady data, which is important, our EOG, and our NC check-ins, which is uniform throughout the district. Our goal, once again, in reading is to increase it by 10%. Because the scores were lower, I wanted to, as a team, we were saying about raising it. The issue we're having now is that our classes are being quarantined on a large basis. I've done probably about, I would say, 5 now within a matter of 2 weeks, full classes being quarantined. We did another one. So 10% will be realistic during this time because we are having a lot of classroom quarantining going on. In the meantime, despite the quarantining, what we're also looking at is using our technology. We're still using the iReady, which is big. We're also using Overdrive. We used to have the accelerated reader, but since students, the contact with the books are limited due to COVID-19, but it's online now, so that's really important. Our curriculum instructional coach, we're in the process of hiring. So that is a vacancy that we have now that we are working with the Human Resource Department. Our day tutors, we're excited about reigniting our retired teachers. They have been leery from coming in due to COVID-19, but now we have the vaccine and the booster shots. We're looking forward to embracing them again to come within the school environment. Our Northside Bulldog Academy, we'd like to reactivate that. We've had that previously with the tutorials that used to go on when they used to have the track out sessions when it was year round, but we want to bring that back so we can have that in the afternoon. I think it's too late to wait for the summertime to start what we call remediation. Our children are behind. They need us now, not later on in the summer, which is great, but we want to implement that as soon as possible. The data digs are important. What Ms. Clayton did an excellent job. She can break down and provide what we call the data tracking sheets, where individual items in which students are missing on a continuous basis. You can plan your instruction on that so that you can hone in on those challenging areas. MTSS is one of the systems that we're also using. Our reading goals will continue. That's the next one, please. All right, thank you. Community partnerships, we've linked to a Boys and Girls Club at Merion Board. I know there's been discussion about having it at Northside. We will revisit that of our students. We have a large number. We only had but 5 at the time. So continuing our uninterrupted reading blocks, that will continue. Principal conducting classroom observations, giving feedback, that also will continue. Our parent engagement has changed in terms of virtual, but what I would like to do is re-embrace the community, especially for that Title I, and I want to do small groups and actually have them come in by grade level. I discussed that with Ms. Scott. She should be careful of the numbers. So that's something that I want to do. I've watched other people and other principals now just trying to bring the parents back in as much as possible, in small groups, of course. And school-wide reading incentives. We want to bring that back again with our certificates, our medals. We've ordered a lot of those with the ribbons to celebrate it. For our math, 10%. So that was sufficient based on the previous reasons we gave as well. Next one. Okay. Same strategies apply as far as getting people in. Those day tutors, the multi-tier support system will help with that as far as putting children in tiers and also selecting the strategies to use with them. That's the step our teachers will be working on. Solving problems in multiple ways helps our students also understand there's not just one answer, but you can get the same answer but multiple ways and strategies. We want to keep continuing that. Also observations during math. Next one. Okay. Professional development. Once again, the PLCs have become the area in which we are developing since we do not have that instructional coach. We're using the PLC time, and the assistant principal is supporting the teachers in getting the information in that RTI store, which is an online software that they use. NC check-ins, analyzing, once again, the math data. EVOS is really an excellent projector as far as it predicts how students will perform. The SPG calculator is awesome. That's what Mrs. Clayton has used, where you can actually figure out the number of students that you need in order for you to show proficiency or the performance grade to be a C. It actually says you only need 15 children in 3rd grade, 20 in 6th grade. So we do that PD with our teachers every year, and Ms. Clayton is a part of that, which is awesome. It gives you the number literally of targeting. For our science, it's 10% as well. They fared a little bit better in the science this year as opposed to, believe it or not, the reading and the math. Next one. All right. So for the science, higher order thinking, EIE is important. That's engineering is elementary. That incorporates science skills. That's in our restart plan. It's also on our website as well. We'll be doing that one. The science virtual field trips, we'll be looking into that. The science fair has already kicked off. So we're excited our students are uploading all virtual presentations per the district. Next one. Okay, goal 4, once again, has to do with safety. It's changed because now we have the towers taking the temperatures, and we also have the security cameras that are on as well. It is part of our daily routine, also making sure that we have the see something, say something. That has been excellent as far as flagging us for students, unfortunately, that are very depressed or wanting to commit suicide. We're getting early alerts so that we can intervene. Also with our school social workers, especially with COVID-19, children are feeling more isolated than ever before, some children. Thank you so much. The school councils are doing an excellent job with Rethink, which is a district initiative where they're going on as far as having more self-awareness, more appropriate learning behaviors, which is important in that case. Next one, and anti-bullying. For the parent involvement, one thing at Northside, we had a parent that was very active in organizing that, what we call the PTA. Since that parent has left and COVID-19 kicked in, we want to actually restart our parent-teacher organization. So that's something we're working on. Our Title I accountability night, reading and math may be virtual and may be face-to-face. We want to bring that up to 50%. So also increasing opportunities. Now that the vaccine is out and they have booster shots, that might be an option because we do have to have people come in and work with our students. They are behind. It's not enough for one teacher to teach the 25. We've got to start breaking down those numbers for people who are willing to come in and support them. Okay. So our attendance goals, so in this case, we want to increase it by 5%, but we do understand COVID-19. We're thinking about in this case, so if we're looking at perfect attendance, I put on there excluding COVID-19 quarantines. People are getting sick. We don't want that to count against them. So if you've had COVID-19 or you've been quarantined, you will still qualify for the attendance award because that is not your fault of being sick. So you will still be part of the class. So if your class prior to the COVID-19 or the shutdown, they had 100%, well then we need to recognize them. So that was something already in my slide before. So that's going to be important for us. Also, we want to continue to recognize perfect attendance. We used to give it to the parents as well, which they enjoyed because the kids got a certificate and they got one because it's a partnership. So that's something our parents love. In summary, our focus will continue to be that reading, math, and science as well. We're still striving to get a report card grade of a C. Prior to COVID-19, it was a D. And so we're trying to move back in that same direction. For our Restart highlight, which I shared that as well, one of the things on Restart, the dual language program, so we've actually decided to get a Spanish teacher to do specials for any students not engaged in the dual language program because we wanted to continue that. That was something we wanted to do. We work with Participate Learn, which is the organization that provides us those international teachers. So that was on there as well. In our Restart plan, we also talked about the flexibility. We used to use remote days. However, we don't want students to be out of school. So we're not going to ask for the 5 remote days. I shared the Restart plan with you. You have it as well. So what we're doing now, we're going to actually do professional development during PLCs. So we're not asking to shut down, which by Restart you can. That's one of your flexibilities. Incorporate more staff development and remote type learning days to accomplish that. So that was something that we wanted to do. The Bulldog Academy, we want to start that and get permission for funding. So we're working on that proposal so that this way we can begin addressing those learning gaps that cannot be covered just during the hours in the day according to our teachers. Okay, thank you. So thank you so much for hearing the ideas that we're going to be doing as far as moving Northside. COVID-19 is a big barrier for any school, any district. All of the performances in a lot of the areas and neighboring schools are low compared to the traditional scores, but we don't want to stay there. We want to work hard so that we can get our scores up. We can show proficiency, and our students will show more independence the more proficient you are.
Do you have any questions for Principal Dunbar?
I saw several times teacher observation. So do you have any kind of framework for how often teachers are observed and how quickly that feedback gets back to them? Because I know that's really
Yes.
important.
Yes. And so the feedback is important and very much so. So usually when we're in class doing the observation, usually when it ends, my style is to kind of give them feedback really quickly so that I don't forget and they can get something immediately. And then after that is the process of writing it up. Ms. Richardson is similar in that fact. So we say, you know, hey, I noticed you did such and such really great. You know, it might be that one thing, but you'll see that when we follow up. So that's important. One of the things we're finding too, because with this classroom being quarantined, we also have the teacher. So if you've done any observation and they've quarantined, so that also becomes, you know, a hindrance as far as the application of the feedback. So thank you for asking. Board Member Langner.
No
Any other
question.
I don't have any.
All right, but it's been a pleasure. I know I've missed you all. I have not been here as much, so hello to the family out there. So I am here, but thank you so much. And please continue to work with us and provide us with support. We can't do it by ourselves. I say it all the time. We need all the support and encouragement we can get during this time. It's not
Okay.
easy being a principal, the things we're going through. It's not easy being students or teachers or even parents who are there, and board members. I can't imagine your job right now. So, but we just thank you for all your efforts, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you so
Principal
much.
Thank
Dunbar.
you.
All right, have a great evening.
Thank
You
you.
too.
You too.
You too.
Next, we have Vaughn Elementary, Principal McMahon.
That's good. Hello.
Hi.
Good evening. Where's that cord? How you doing? Good to see you.
How you doing?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I was thinking it was safe to ask.
Want to begin by saying good evening to everyone. Want to congratulate you, Mr. Sutton, on being named superintendent.
Thank you.
Going to go ahead and get started. Our school-wide goal is to increase student proficiency in reading and math to 70% or greater, and to meet all growth targets of 70% of students score on or above grade level on iReady EOY diagnostics. Our overarching school goal is provide evidence-based instruction daily to meet the needs of all students in order to increase student achievement. And when you look at our first two goals, student achievement and attendance are really big factors for this year. And with our instruction, we begin daily with a 45-minute intervention block, and then in the afternoon, we end with a 45-minute intervention block. The first block being ELA, the second intervention block being math. And our instructional teams meet regularly to review implementation of effective practices and student progress. Our grade levels meet collaboratively once a week, and I try to attend that meeting. The PLCs, I think, I have an updated version of this. I think this was the one that was, it's incorrect, but anyway, if you'll look on your sheet that I provided you with,
Okay.
PLCs will meet the first week of each month to plan for remediation, identify best practices, and implement them. For example, when we meet this month, our focus will be the classroom environment. Our focus last month when we met was our intervention block, making sure that we have meaningful instruction during that intervention block, and that when we're doing our lesson plans for the week, that we also have plans for our interventions, our ELA and our math, because, you know, students' academics were greatly affected from the pandemic. So our babies from first on up really have some deficits. So it's what we do, we use our data to go back and look at those deficits and make sure that we're targeting those deficits doing intervention blocks. Our MTSS Coach, which stands for multi-tiered system of supports, that coach meets every 2 weeks with grade levels, and during those meetings, I attend those meetings, and they're after school, and we look at the student data and the intervention plans to actually look at that data to see, you know, is what the skills we're targeting, is it working? Are the students making progress? And when they are making progress, we go back and find other skills to target, you know, so we can continue to move them forward academically. Our MTSS coach, she meets with the school level MTSS in addition to grade levels. So not only does she meet with the K2 and the 3-5 teachers, we meet together as a team and come back and discuss the things that were discussed in those grade level meetings. Going back, we look at our attendance, regularly review and improve student attendance. I want to begin by saying, in no way are these attendance incentives punitive. We take into consideration when students are quarantined or out sick, those things do not count against them. The whole purpose of trying to, my focus for the attendance was wanting the kids to be there. Because, you know, you have those kids in the morning that are crying in carpool because they've been home on quarantine. So just when we do our morning news, because we do morning news that, which is live every morning, we do the attend and win. So if they're there in their own time, they get to get a little trinket, a pencil. But, and we also decided to tie in our attendance and our PBIS, but once again, in no way is it punitive. For my classes that have quarantined or students that have been sick, they still, you know, it's not counted against them. They get to attend. And like I said, once again, the whole of goals and objectives of the attendance is to make it somewhere that they actually want to be, you know, where they see school as their safe haven.
That's good.
Our parent engagement, and it's not listed in the school improvement plan, but because I just felt like it's something that's embedded. Every Sunday, I send out a weekly call at 6 p.m. with weekly updates and just informing parents of what's going on for the upcoming week at Vaughn Elementary School. We don't have a PTO now, and so we're in the process of trying to establish a PTO because they hadn't had one in 2 years. And parents, when I done my weekly call this week, I invited them to attend the school improvement plan meeting, which is tomorrow, and when we'll discuss some budget and things, and really just wanted in those attempts to make them, you know, feel a part of what's going on in their kids' lives. So that's the main reason for the weekly calls and posting things on the websites and in the Google Classrooms. Really want to increase the parent engagement. Are there any questions?
I don't have a question. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I don't have a question, but I noticed in goal 3 that you have a phrase stating, "What you water will grow."
Yes, ma'am.
And your role as the building leader will help to make that happen by collaborating with your staff.
Correct.
Okay, and continuously monitoring your students.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are watering and planting seeds as well
Yes,
to
ma'am.
build up, you know, your school and your students and your teachers. And
Yes,
I think
ma'am.
that's a great idea for you being the builder of your team.
Yes, ma'am, and that's why, when we have our PLC meetings where we meet once a month after school, we pick things that we know that we see lacking from the walkthroughs and the classroom observations to, to try to support those teachers and provide strategies and actions that'll help them grow so they can be more effective in the classroom.
Yes, yes.
Just a comment, you pretty much covered everything that I, was looking for. I love that instructional teams meet regularly to review what kind of practices that and as for a student's progress is concerned. And I like the fact that you collaborate, a lot with your staff. They collaborate with each other and, with other staff members. And, and the last thing I want to say, teamwork makes the dream work.
It does, and I don't ever want them to feel like they're in it alone. We're in this together. And I always say, when I do meet with them, my question always at the end of collaborative planning, once we discuss what they're gonna do, what is it that you need from me to make this happen? So,
Great job, thank you.
all righty. Any other questions?
I see in goal 3 that you have to improve your student attendance to 95%. What is it currently?
It's currently like 87, and that's on a good day.
Okay.
We have a lot of tardies that just come from, trying to get back to, we know we still in a pandemic, but still trying to get back to a sense of normalcy. And that's one of the things, and I mentioned it in my weekly call also, about being there on time, because the first 45 minutes of our day is our intervention block for our ELA. So it's important, that they're there to try to capitalize on that full 45 minutes. And the same thing with checkouts. We discourage, unless it's pre-planned, checkouts after 2:30, because that 2:30 to 3:15, that's our intervention block for math. It's a school-wide block. And, just want parents to know, really. And if they aren't there, what our teachers do in the Google Classroom, they post the intervention activities. So even if they aren't at school, if they're not too sick to log in, they can log in their Google Classroom and still get help and support from their parents with those intervention activities.
I have just a question. In the second, third paragraph, it says that you recently received documentation that Bond Elementary has been designated as a targeted support and improvement, additional targeted support school by the North Carolina State Board of Education. What does that mean? I don't understand.
It was a letter just that,
Is that good or bad? Is that good or bad? What does it mean?
I feel like I had mixed them. I'll be honest with you, I had mixed emotions about it, because on the last reportable report card, Vaughn Elementary was performing at a C. And I thought last year that test scores were held harmless, that they didn't count against you. But needless to say, we did receive a letter, that as a matter of fact, I have it to go out tomorrow. It had to go out by the 16th, and I didn't want to send it out before I had my presentation here. We had to submit our plans to Mr. Sutton. But once again, concerned but not worried, because like I stated in my executive summary, what you water will grow. And when I say what you water, what you monitor gets done, it's important that, you have that expectation of those meaningful activities during the intervention block. And me as the building leader, attending that collaborative planning and those MTSS meetings. So, they know that I'm aware and that, once again, I'm there to support them. And we're in this together.
Well, I don't really have a question. I just would like to just say, Ms. Sophia, that I'm impressed. You are the new kid on the block, so to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
But we have a great team already, and you come right in and kind of fit in with this great team. And I'm so impressed with these weekly calls that you do on Sunday night to the parents.
Yes, ma'am.
That's just wonderful, because I'm sure with that intervention, you can get the parental support that you need. So I just say to you to continue to water, because it will grow.
All
So
right.
thank you for your presentation.
All right, thank you.
Next, we'll have Warren County Middle School, presented by Dr. Carrington.
Good evening. How are you? Good. You see that purple paper?
Thank you.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, Doug.
Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
I'm here this evening to share a snapshot of the great Warren County Middle School, where we are growing together as we cultivate and as we steam forward. This evening, my slideshow is in the form of an infographic because we have 12 indicators that was required by the state that we must cover under our school improvement plan. And so my slideshow pretty much deals with our indicators and the goals and some of the action steps that we will be conducting or have done thus far to meet those state-required indicators. All right, so as mentioned, there are 12 indicators. And so we have been working very hard to ensure that our school improvement plan is one that is remarkable and one that is noticed by the State Department. We have even received some recognition by DPI, the Restart Office, using our school improvement plan as exemplary work for other schools across the state. Thank you. And so this first slide deals with 6 of the indicators. Leadership team, which is required, non-negotiable. The principal, and my role is being the instructional leader, providing effective monitoring, establishing a team structure, making sure everyone have clear roles and responsibilities and duties. Of course, the LEA school, making sure that we meet as by the state at least twice a month for the school improvement team. Systems, procedures, and protocols, reflecting and reviewing on a constant basis, and parent communication. Having expectations, having information for our parents, and you will see more of that on the executive summary regarding what's being done for the parents. Also, looking at classroom management, highlighting effective strategies, and we have created, myself and the assistant principal have created an electronic walkthrough observation tool that when we go through the classrooms on a daily basis, we have certain items that we're looking for. And so once we complete that quick walkthrough observation, when we hit submit, they immediately get the feedback from what we saw in that particular time. And that is completely different from the state-required evaluation tool. This is something that we did to provide feedback, what we're looking for to help move the school forward. Also, aligned unit plans. Our content PLCs meet twice a month. This is something completely new for Warren County Middle School, where you have all the math people coming together, all the social studies, all the ELA, all the science coming together, talking about best practices, talking about effective strategies, what's working, what's not working, where are we on our pacing gun, are we on target, are we ahead, are we behind? And so that's the target that we're meeting. MTSS tiered instruction, ensuring effective implementation. We are in the process of looking for a coach. However, our assistant principal is our former coach. So all of us are working in that role for us, the MTSS, to ensure that we are having those crucial conversations And I was super excited about our meeting this past week, where we actually were talking about students, talking about their attendance, their behavior, their academics. And so I'm really excited about where we're going with MTS. That's in the framework that's required. SEL, better support for our students, our staff, our parents. And so we're doing weekly things for our students and monthly things for our teachers to ensure that we are meeting those SEL requirements. All right, so some strategies for school improvement. All right, so PDs on classroom management. Every teacher will receive some caption kits, hearts training, where they created a social contract. Now, we did not pay for the professional development. However, with several of new staff members that are certified CKH facilitators, and so they trained the staff and begin the school year.
That's great.
On the
Yes.
caption kids heart framework. And so the social contract, pretty much every classroom has one, and pretty much the class comes together each class period, how I want to be treated, how I'm going to treat others, and it's pretty much a cohesive piece of chart paper on each classroom for each class period. So that when someone is acting up or misbehaving, you can check each other and say, okay, we agree to respect, we agree to, treat each other the way we want to be treated. And also, Heart of a Warrior, we are in the process of restructuring our PBIS framework. However, we have not had the training. However, we have people on the staff now who are certified PBIS trainers. All right, so we are using that. So we call it Heart of a Warrior. And so each month we have a student of the month, as well as a character trait person of the month, character ed trait of the month that we use, and we call the Heart of a Warrior. Each classroom has a Heart of a Warrior poster, as well as in the hallways where you see this is the behavior that we expect in the gym, in the classroom, in the hallways, etc. I mentioned the content PLCs. I've selected specific protocols so that each content area is focused on the same protocol when talking about data, when talking about students, when talking about their curriculum units and where we are. We have a calming room. Again, I'm tied to everything, all our 12 indicators. All right, calming room in the main office. It was designed from our former counselor, Colleen Newer, for our students. When we were on virtual, we had a virtual calming room. That was very helpful for the kids to relax their mind, listen to some music, read, find books to read. But now we have an in-person common room. And week before last, I used the common room for our staff. We had a mental health matters week at WCMS. So every day was something different. You may have saw it on social media. Every day was something different where they were able to go in and get hot cider. We're able to go in and get brochures regarding our employee assistance program, things of that nature, try to help build the morale as we are getting around the lab. Transition academies with guidance. We are fortunate that our kids are able to leave Warren County Middle School with 4 high school credits. World History, Spanish 1, Math 1, and Earth and Environmental Science. And so our kids are able to go to the high school with 4 credits, and their second semester, they'll be a sophomore. And so we have kids on that track. This year is the first year that we have implemented it for science, and so our kids are taking the Earth and Environmental Science in 7th grade, so that when they get to 8th grade, they can take the 8th grade EOG. So they can get their first high school credit in 7th grade, and then the other 3 in 8th grade. All right, we're having our monthly meetings. We have duty rosters in place for clear roles, the observation tool and feedback as mentioned, data drives and data tracking form. We have specially designed forms for that. We have that communication loop going on, something pretty similar to what Ms. McManus said about the weekly calls to parents, informing parents. So we send a telephone call out as well as a text message to all of our stakeholders to ensure that everyone is receiving the information. This is my report.
Very good.
On this purple sheet of paper is a whole bunch of meat that I really wish I had time to really just touch on a couple, but I am proud to say that we only have 1 core restart teacher at Warren County Middle School, so I'm really excited about that. We have 2 elective restart teachers, And my one core restart teacher that I do have, he has passed his test and he's working on
Wonderful.
towards certification.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we're super excited about that.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're preparing your students for the high school and they're getting the credits that they need, and so they'll be ahead of the game. One of the other things that you mentioned was the walkthrough.
Yes.
Okay, could you describe to me the walkthrough and actually what you're observing and what what you are presenting?
Sure. So every day I make it my business to walk through at least 10 classrooms. Okay, and walking through 10 classrooms, I try to hit each hallway. When I walk in, I'm looking for certain things. The central question, I'm looking for the stand, I'm looking for the agenda, I'm looking for the I can statements, I'm looking for what are the students doing, what is the teacher doing, the engagement level, the rigor level of what's taking place.
Okay, and that information you pass on to,
Immediately to the teacher. Once I hit submit, it goes right to them.
okay. Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Carrington, I just have a few comments.
Okay.
What I was looking for, you simply covered it all, and I do appreciate as far as distributing responsibilities, your weekly metrics, your documented progress and feedback, and your continuous improvement. So you kind of touched on all those things I was kind of looking for. So again, thank you, and good job.
Thank you.
I just, actually, as everyone has said, it was a great job. I just wanted to read your statement here at the bottom of your purple sheet, because it's
powerful.
great. Yeah, it's just like, yeah. True change requires a focus on creating school culture that supports academic, social, emotional, and character development of children.
Yes.
And that is exactly what we as a board would like to
Yes.
see happen in this district.
Yes.
And so that is just, I just thought that was great for you to have that.
Thank you.
But great presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And only one core restart teacher.
Only one core restart teacher.
That's
Excellent.
Only
dynamic.
one core.
Excellent.
And we are fully staffed.
All right.
And our core teachers, yes.
Thank you, Dr. Carrington.
Thank
Any other
you.
questions
Thank
for
you.
him?
Kudos, great
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Good job.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Trying to hide the pandemic pounds. All right, good afternoon, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am Shanae Judkins, and I am the proud principal of Warren Early College High School, and tonight, it is my pleasure to share with you our fall improvement plan. All right, we have chosen 3 indicators, and I'm not going to read these to you, but I would give you a simple review of all 3. So our first indicator, A406, we're going to allow our students to Maslow before they bloom. And that means that before we begin to engage them in challenging academic tasks, we are going to first handle their basic needs. We're going to handle their need to feel safe, as well as their need to feel like they belong. Our second indicator, E106, we are going to value our parents and our guardians as partners. And we want to empower them because we know that when we have our students at school, we're going to continue to give them the excellent education they deserve. However, when they get home, we want our parents to feel empowered to help them, and feel empowered and knowledgeable of what they need to do to help them as well. And our last indicator, we're going to use data. And data is anything, not just our school performance grade, not just what, this student has scored on a test, but any data that we collect. Is this student coming to school late? Are they hungry? Are they homeless? Are they even coming to school at all? We're going to use all of this data to ensure that we are meeting not some of our scholars, but we are meeting the needs of all of our scholars academically. Now let's look at our goals, and this is Ms. Bender and her class at our Hispanic Heritage Celebration. Our first goal, we're going to provide support for the social and emotional as well as mental needs of all of our scholars and staff members. And that is what I have addressed here on our one-pager. This year after COVID, we've had to shift our gears. So when our students came into the door, it's not, okay, come on, there's learning loss. We got to make sure we get you caught up. No. We had students that suffer from anxiety. We've had students that have already gone to mental facilities. So we had to shift our gears and realize that we have to provide for the support of their social and emotional as well as the mental health of our scholars, but not only for our scholars, but for our staff members. Not only for our staff members, but even provide the support for our families as well. And this is goal one on the one pager, and I'm not going to read all of them to you, but I will highlight some of the things that have really been working well this year. We're going to continue to utilize the social and emotional learning, the SEL lessons that we use at the end of the day. This year, and not just our school, but all of our schools, we're in a unique situation. Because typically we have our 9th grade academy where we get an opportunity to get to know our 9th graders, but guess what? Not only are we getting to know our 9th graders, but we're getting to know our 10th graders, and that's half of our school. So there is no way that we can expect our students to function academically the way that we need them to if they don't even know us, if we don't know what makes them tick, if they don't know what color I love. So this is how we have to build relationships with our scholars. We have a SAVE Club, and SAVE is Students Against Violence Everywhere, and this is from the Sandy Hook Promise. And they have developed a kindness box because we noticed that a lot of our freshmen, they're nervous. This is their first time in high school. They were quarantined for the last year of middle school, and it's a box, a beautifully decorated box that our SAVE Club members have decorated, and all week, you just think of something kind to a student or a staff member, you just drop it in the box. That Thursday, we kind of process the notes, and we make sure that every single student, every single staff member received a kindness note on Friday. And it was absolutely, there were students that I saw, is this for me? I can't believe I got something. And that's something that we're going to continue to utilize this year because that's the way that we build relationships. We're also going to continue to provide wraparound support for our scholars and parents when there's a mental health diagnosis or release from a mental health facility because we know that it's scary. If you're a teenager and you've been diagnosed with this, you could feel alone. But when parents know that we care, and we always tell them, you come talk to us. If we don't know the answer, we're going to find someone who does. Not only are we going to provide that support for our scholars, but we're going to provide that support for their family. Because again, the basis of our work is relationships, and we can't build relationships with our scholars without building relationships at home. We're going to continue to empower our scholars as leaders so that they can continue organizing our cultural celebrations. We'll have a very diverse county, but we want to, again, make sure that our students feel like they belong and feel like they're included. So our first celebration was our Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. If you could see the decorations, it was a wonderful celebration. We're now working on our Native American Heritage Month celebration. And I remember for Principals Appreciation Month, I received a note, and one of my students said, "Ms. Judkins, thank you so much for Hispanic Heritage Month. It really felt good to showcase our culture." So we want to make sure that all of our students belong. And not only do we want to ensure our students feel like they belong and they're included, we want to make sure our staff, they can't pour from an empty cup. So we want to make sure that we highlight our students, but we're going to highlight our staff. They know birthdays, we're going to celebrate. If they have milestones, you buy a house, we're going to celebrate. Unfortunately, we lost Ms. Mayo, our administrative assistant, last week, but guess what? Oh, we celebrated. So we want to make sure that our students, and especially I want them to see me highlight our teachers. So they'll know, okay, these are my teachers. Ms. Judkins, she is going to celebrate them. My teachers are going to celebrate with me and my parents. Our goal, too, is to increase scholar achievement by providing a personalized approach to scholar learning. And this goal is very important to us because it takes us back to Dr. Comer. No significant learning will occur without a significant relationship. So we have to build those relationships. And we're going to continue our individual parent meetings. And COVID, there were a lot of things that you can say about COVID. It was negative, but we learned a lot about COVID. COVID forced us to get out of our comfort zone, and we were forced to meet parents where they are. Yes. The virtual meetings worked wonders. We're going to continue those virtual meetings, whether that be Zoom, whether that be Google Meet, could be FaceTime, it could be phone, it could be let's sit in the Food Line parking lot. But have that meeting with parents to let them know how their scholars are doing, and more importantly, what they can do to help them at home. We're going to continue to focus on building relationships, again, with our 9th and 10th grade scholars, but not only with them as well as their family. And maintain and expand our focus groups. We have had scholars, of course there is a learning loss, but imagine being a child coming off of quarantine and you're just all of a sudden, oh my God, all of this, I have to learn. So we've noticed some things, okay, some kids, what's the problem? What do you think it is? It could be organization, time management. So what we've done is we've developed focus groups. And for instance, the organization, Ms. Parks heads that focus group. I had the 9th grade college class focus group. It could be, let's print a calendar, color code, let's write all your classes down. And I know that may seem very simple for some and for us as adults, but for some scholars, I have seen it change their lives. I looked at I ran our honor roll and principals list, 52 kids. 52 kids this term, and we're very proud, very, very proud. And lastly, we're going to increase scholar proficiency on standardized exams, and this is not just end-of-course exams, but this is ACT exams, by developing our tutorial schedule and then being creative in the use and acquisition of tutors. It's very hard to get people to come into the building, so we've had to be really creative. We've had scholars that are now in college or graduated, willing to help. You can't come into the building, let's do a FaceTime tutorial that you can help them. It may not be during the school day, but this may be something that you can do after band practice or when you get home. All right, so those are our 3 goals. And then in summary, just a brief statement. Although this is a challenging year, our focus remains the same. And that is to provide an excellent education, not mediocre, but an excellent education to our scholars by providing them a safe place with caring adults, adults that they know love them, where they feel free to learn and to grow. And this will be accomplished by providing them with effective ways to manage their mental health and by nurturing their social and emotional well-being. We will allow our scholars to Maslow before they are expected to bloom. That is my presentation. Any questions?
Very good, very good.
Thank you.
Great job.
Yep, good job.
I just have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
It seems like you have all of your students pretty much covered in what you're doing in your school. I'm also glad to hear that you're supporting your staff,
Yes.
because they're equally have suffered, I would
Mhm.
imagine, a lot during the COVID period as
Yes,
well.
ma'am.
And they had to adapt to
Mhm.
other types of learning and procedures.
Yes,
So I'm glad to hear that, because it's all in one. It's the teamwork.
that's right.
And everybody recognizes the student, the principal, and the staff. They see all of y'all working together, making it possible.
That's
I could imagine it was very stressful for the students to come back, not knowing whether or not they were going to succeed.
Right.
So you have opened up the door to give them many opportunities,
Thank you.
and I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Good job.
Now, how are your, I know one of your goals in goal 3 is to employ the use of your focus groups to help with testing anxiety. I'm sure a lot of kids have that.
Yes.
So what exactly do you all do, or how are you implementing that?
Well, the testing anxiety focus group will be started in the spring, but I'll just kind of give you the makeup. What we'll do is we'll send out a survey, because not every child is going to say, hey, I need help with this, because again, we're trying to build that relationship. So we'll send out that survey. If it's something that they need assistance with, we have a meeting time. And they come in and we provide that safe place for them to say, listen, this is what I've been doing. I failed my last term. This is why I failed. Because we tell them, now you have to own it if you want to improve. You have to own your circumstance. And it has worked. It has worked wonders. Ms. Parks facilitates the organization focus group. And there are some students that do well in a group, but then there's some that prefer the one-on-one. I have a one-on-one student, a senior, that comes to me, 5th period, and his mom is just amazed. I always take a picture of him and send it to her when he comes to my office. But we kind of structure it with the student needs in mind. Their needs are in mind.
That was my other question, is at what time of the day or when are you having the focus groups?
Well, it depends on the students. We look at their schedule and if it's a college lab. And since Vance Granville is still virtual for this semester, they don't have those face-to-face classes. We'll pull them during that time. Or it could be during the end of the day, during our remediation time, typically during that day.
Okay.
But it's really personalized, so it just depends on that group.
One thing, Ms. Sinead, when you
Yes.
did say about Vance Grandma being virtual right now, but they are going to go back to
Yes.
face-to-face.
Mhm.
That's encouraging, because I know
Yes.
some of the parents, can you kind of talk a little bit about, that they used to have face-to-face, but it's because of the pandemic?
It's because of the pandemic. And so what we have been doing is just preparing those students to go back into that format, especially
right.
the freshmen, because, they're new.
That's
They're
right.
actually on their second college class.
That's right.
And so just, greeting your instructor, how to form those emails. So they're very excited. We're excited
Okay.
for them to go back face-to-face. But we're now in the stage of transitioning them to
Great.
be successful going
Great,
face-to-face.
thank you for that.
So are they thinking of that next semester?
Yes,
next
they'll be
year?
face-to-face next
Next
semester.
semester, okay.
That's good.
I see where you're utilizing MTSS data to help staff minimize learning gaps. So that data is coming from several sources, right?
It's several sources.
Several.
Sources. Because there are no cookie cutter kids, and in order for us to move them, we have to figure out where they are.
Yeah.
So some of them are pretty low, but we have to remember to celebrate every success. Every success. So if you have a child they start off with a 60, 70, and if they make a 75, 80, celebrate that success, because that gives them the hunger to want to do more. That one, yeah.
Motivate.
It gives them that motivation, and that has really worked. It has worked.
Great.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Jenkins? Thank you so much. We appreciate that presentation.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
We're gonna go with Warren County High.
Okay.
Dr. Lewis will be presenting for Warren County High.
missing her, attachment on here. Is her attachment on here? I don't see it. Thank you.
Look at,
Under which one?
the one that came Saturday at 10:52 p.m. from DeWan.
Okay. But it's not in the, no problem.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Keisha Lewis, principal of Warren County High School, the flagship school. And
Turn the mic.
I'm here to present our current school improvement plan. So our aim is always the instructional flywheel. And the flywheel is once you get a system going, it's continuous once you get some systems in place. Our first goal is to increase performance. And this is the growth measure, by at least 10% on the North Carolina end of course exam by June 2022. These exams include biology, Math 1, Math 3, and English 2. And due to the huge drop from last year's remote learning and scores, 10% does seem like a huge number, but I think it's doable based on how we performed last year. The second is to increase student performance. This is proficiency by 5% on the North Carolina end of course exam by June 2022 with the same assessments. So we didn't make as big of a jump for performance for proficiency because for some students it might be a harder number. Proficiency is 70% after your converted LEA score. And by the end of this current school year, students with a disability, that's one of our targeted subgroups, will demonstrate at least a 5 to 10% increase in growth as evidenced by our North Carolina school report card data. And so, in brevity, again, our aim is the instructional flywheel. Once we get some things in place, good pedagogy, classroom management practice, research-based practices, we want things to be ongoing. To be quite frank, Warren County High School has not seen test score growth since 2014. It's been that long, and 2019, the school had a C, but the C was not based on a growth standard. We still didn't make growth that year. The C in 2019 was based on accountability and 95% participation. So that's how that happened. And so since then, it has obviously fallen to what I think might be a D or F range based on last year. So our areas of growth where we need to grow is indicator A401 with our frequency of our MTSS and our school improvement meetings. We've been having those. I think when we got to October, we might have had one, and we're supposed to have two. So we're having some significant staffing issues. So I am down an assistant principal. I am down a social studies teacher. We have hired a biology teacher who is en route that is international but is not here yet. We lost our dear CTE teacher. He passed away over the summer, and he did other things at the school. We have not replaced him. And we are in need of an additional math teacher for the sake of small class sizes. With our performance and just our historical data, we've got some huge class numbers, and an additional teacher would help. And we are currently down a social studies teacher as well. And so I've put my instructional coach in that classroom. However, we have really made it work. We've had some days where we weren't sure, but we've had each other's backs, and some people have taught subjects they've never taught before, and we're just making it work at this point. consistency of an SEL program. So having some high needs students, we have our guidance counselors that we work with, that students can see at any point. And we also work closely with our dean of students that was recently hired. And we have our social workers. But I would like to use our remediation period for some SEL at least once a week, because we are seeing some increased emotional needs. And sufficient planning time for teachers. So that's kind of self-explanatory. With day one, a lot of teachers did not get a planning period. And more recently, we're starting to see teachers have a planning period for the first time in like the first 2 months of school. Where we're growing, for the most part, we have very, very effective classroom management. We, for the last 2 years, because that is my background, I was an instructional coach, and so instruction always comes first with me. Teachers are well versed in instructional planning, making sure their units are standards-based, making sure that their assignments are standards-based, making sure their classroom assessments also follow suit. And we're making sure that we're communicating more with parents. So I do have a script that I do our robocalls with, but before I send it out, I usually have teachers help me edit it to make sure nothing's been left out. So we're using our social media page more often. I do robocalls at least 3 times a week, and we are making sure that we use our Facebook page as well. As far as our strategic plan, so I just mentioned the increased communication with parents, because that has been something that was lacking, was how often we did our robocalls and how often we used our social media page. So we're making sure we're making a conscientious effort to increase those. Regarding our Saturday Enrichment Academy, which we plan to start in January of 2022, and it will run through May of 2022. And the targeted group are students that are taking our state courses, English 2, Biology, Math 1, and Math 3, because our scores indicate that we need some extra enrichment on weekends. So I've been working with our director of curriculum for some guidance on how to use our Title I funds appropriately. And so one of her suggestions was a Saturday Academy. And so we're in the planning stages of that. The Saturday Academy will support all students, but will specifically target those in English 2, Math 1, Math 3, and Biology, and those that are identified by our MTSS and RTI supports. The Saturday Academy will also provide students with the opportunity to engage in experiments. You have your STEM activities, and we'll have activities that will develop your 21st century skills. So the Title I funds will be used to support, compensate your staff, purchase your materials, and provide transportation. So we're in the planning stages of finding fuel costs, driver costs, how much we should pay teachers per hour, and purchasing resources. Another suggestion from the director of curriculum was to hire retired educators or other qualified persons as tutors during the day. So what these tutors will do, they will pull small groups of students and assist in areas such as Math 1, Math 3, Biology, and English 2. And these are paid positions that will be posted in Teacher Match, hopefully no later than December 1st. And our tutors are expected to make 2 to 3 visits weekly to support our teachers. And those aren't all the things we're doing, but those are the things that are going to address our troubling data. And then we have our time for time absenteeism support. That's going to start, we're looking at next Tuesday or Monday, whatever the 22nd is. And so we have students that have huge absentee issues that are not related to COVID or quarantine or sickness. These are simply unexcused absences. And so we're starting to see students accumulate around 25 or more absences, and once you get 8, you're subject to fail. So time for time has already been established at Warren County High, But of course, we didn't need it last year because it was remote. But as a staff, we saw a huge need to reestablish this. And so essentially, students will come in after school and they will make up their time. So 4 hours of made up time equals 1 day towards getting rid of your unexcused absences. And that is all I have, I think. Are there any questions?
It's my understanding that you did revisit your previous school improvement plan.
Always.
Goals.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good. What are you doing as far as empowering your team to take ownership in your plan?
As far as the teachers?
Your teachers to take ownership, as far as empowering them to be a
So
part of it.
The first thing we always go over with teachers are, if they have data from the previous year, like test scores, taking an accountable part in what happened here outside of a student's absenteeism, outside of a student's projections, but what am I doing instructionally to help make sure that students are getting what they need? And so we had a lot of instructional gaps last year from the pandemic and gaps that were there before. But as a team, we always look at the data together and we share strategies together. And we're looking at increasing some definite needs for pedagogy-driven PD.
Okay. And I think you might have misunderstood my question. My question as far as empowering them to buy into your school improvement plan.
Oh, that's not an issue. I've been with the school for 3 years now, and I've always been a collaborative leader, even as their assistant principal. And so we've always just done this together. It's never been something coming from me. It's always something coming from us.
Okay.
I have a question, only because I spent 3 hours in policy today. Does time for time, does that meet our policy requirements for attendance?
Our data manager did check
Okay,
before we,
okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I actually have 2 questions, Dr. Lewis. First one, for your increased communication with parents. I know you do robocalls. I usually get them. So.
Okay.
But are your staff also doing personal calls?
They do.
Okay.
They do.
And
And
we
they have
keep-
to, they keep those on us. I'm sorry.
Yeah, keeping a log. That's what I was
Yes.
just, okay.
They keep a spreadsheet.
Okay, okay. And the second one was for your tutors for Title I.
Mm-hmm.
Is this gonna be like a pullout? When are
Yes.
they? Okay,
They will pull them out into small groups of hopefully no more than 10. And the biggest need is going to be math, because Math 1 and Math 2, where we might have classes of 35.
okay.
And when we're packed like that, we need that support especially.
Okay.
I guess my question, I appreciate the presentation. I know you said that there was a recommendation from our academic director to do a Academy Academy.
Yes.
And I think, I guess there are possibilities in that. But when I hear you say that you have unexcused absences and you have about 25 or more, so that means that the students are not showing up right now.
Right.
What can we do to even motivate them, or encourage them to show up before we even get to the Saturday Academy? Because I'm just trying to figure out how can we do a Saturday Academy, or maybe that's something that's going to be exciting where it draws them in there.
And that is hopefully an engagement piece. And so students have been asking that are 11th and 12th grade that know about our time for time, when are we going to, because I think what happened was we fell into this thought that even though we're still in the pandemic and that we're still going to be excused for our unexcused absences.
Okay.
And they realize, no, you're going to
Accountable for it.
be
yeah.
held accountable for it. So that's why we implemented the time for time again, because that was something we
Okay.
had in previous years.
Okay. So do you, now, in lieu of that, do you think that it's because the students don't like to get up early in the morning and that's why they don't come? And if you did a later, something in the evening, it would help attendance? I'm not sure, I'm just asking, to encourage the attendance.
There are several factors as to why students are absentee, and
Okay.
probably working late at night is one of them. A lot
That
of
may be
them,
good for them or not?
I think it would.
Okay.
Mhm.
thank you.
Well, I do have a question about time-for-time absenteeism support. Okay, so you mentioned 8 days, but they've had as many as 25 days of absence?
Unexcused.
And so are you monitoring before they get to the 8 days?
Absolutely. We
Yeah.
send home letters, we call.
Uh-huh.
We have a dean of students / dropout prevention specialist. We have our social workers that are getting in contact with a lot of people that still let things kind of get out of control.
Yeah.
And I do think that they thought that this was going to be another COVID year of just forgiveness.
And that was my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're realizing, so it's time. So I think we'll have a good turnout for our time-for-time sessions.
It sounds like you will.
And as far as your positions that you still, looking for teachers in certain positions, and you mentioned retired teachers, so how have you been able to get any in to help?
Not as of yet. I do have a biology teacher en route, like I said, but as far as our tutors, that's something we just talked about when we got the Title I budget about a week and a half ago. That's something that we could use. So it's a relatively new idea to bring the tutors in. I have people in mind, but a lot of the people I have in mind retired fairly recently, and you have to wait 6 months before you can report back to a state job.
Perhaps the Teachers Retirement Association might be.
Okay, because I wouldn't know of anyone else.
Okay, I can get some information on that.
Okay.
Dr. Lewis, how is your morale? How would you gauge the morale at your school with your teachers?
It's increasing.
Okay.
It is increasing. We've had a lot of district support, and at this point, we are all there for the children. And I'm doing all I can as their colleague to make sure that they are supported.
Great.
And I'm communicating with them, being transparent about things, sharing data with them. The largest thing for us was the coverage. But even at this point, they feel supported and we're pushing through.
They do feel supported.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
And our final presentation will be from Mr. Green from Warren New Tech. We had to do something to get them together more.
I had to go to that room when we finished.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. How are you?
Board Chair Sims,
Thank you, sir.
Board Co-Chair Lehman,
Thank you.
Board Member Byrd,
Thank you.
Board Member Long.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Board Member Tyler Green.
Thank you. Thank you.
To our new superintendent, congratulations, Sergeant. Ms. Petaway. Again, good evening. I bring you greetings from Warren New Tech High School. And we're gonna talk tonight about our school improvement plan. Do you all mind if I just pull this down?
Not at all.
Okay, thank you. We're going to talk about our school improvement plan and what the team has looked at as far as what the school need to improve on. For our vision, you will see here that Warren New Tech School will graduate 100% of its students prepare for college, career, or military through the use of project-based learning, which is something that we are working on because it is a project-based learning school. And we have to get back to that. So in speaking with the team today, a lot of them know a great deal about project-based learning. So what I'm looking to do is use teachers in the building to teach others and give them more instruction on that project-based piece, as well as any PDs that we may need to continue to cover us on this here vision of ours. For our mission, the mission of Warren New Tech High School is to be an outstanding school of choice where students are engaged in project-based learning that develops 21st century skills, supported by a technology that prepares them for a compatible global society. And I just gave you members of our school improvement team. Okay, you can continue. All right, for our SIP aligned goals, it is to create a safe and secure classroom environments by implementing and reinforcing effective classroom management procedures. To work as a collaborative team to review implementation of effective practice and student progress, to deliver standards, aligned units of instruction to cater to the needs of all students through project-based learning. And that's the catch right there, all students. We do have students at Warren New Tech High School with IEPs, but that's okay, because once again, my closing comment at the end of the day is, what have we done for a child? That includes all students. Okay, to implement a tiered instructional system that allows teachers to deliver evidence-based instruction aligned with the individual needs of students across all tiers, to do regular monitoring of curriculum and classroom instruction. And here every week I walk into classrooms giving immediate feedback. I do my walkthroughs two ways. I do it as a whole, and then I communicate with the school via email what I'm seeing as a school that we may need to improve on, or what we can do to better enhance what we are doing. And then I also communicate with teachers individually through emails on what I'm seeing in classrooms and what we need to do to improve on some things. When I walk into classrooms, I'm looking for those standards, I'm looking for the objectives, I'm looking for the agenda, and I'm walking around looking, seeing what students are doing, that engagement level, because that's very, very important too. We can walk in classes all day and we can stand and see what the teacher is doing, but I often tell the teachers, you have to walk around the classroom and see what your students are doing as well, so I model that when I go in classrooms. All right, for our performance goals, reading, math, and science, Warren New Tech High School will increase reading, math, science proficiency by 10%, and you will see in my data slide why we're choosing this here particular 10%. And the state assessment at the end of the school year, graduation rate, Warren New Tech High School will increase its graduation rate to 100%. And for the ACT, Warren New Tech High School will increase its ACT participation rate to 100%. We're looking pretty good. Last week we had the pre-ACT, and we had 100% participation, and we didn't have to do any makeups. So that shows that what we tell students, we put things in place to celebrate students, you know, to celebrate teachers, to show them the value, because I oftentimes talk to the staff, we have to detox our students from the way they were learning during the COVID. We have to detox. Not only do we have to detox our students, but we have to detox our parents as well, because students now have to know that you cannot do what you were doing while we're back face-to-face learning. You can't leave school and go to work. You know, and that's what parents are calling the school getting them out. You know, I want them to leave and go to work. So we have to detox our parents as well and get them back used to this face-to-face instruction. Things that we couldn't do before the COVID, we can't do now, even though we're still in COVID. However, we still have to perform face-to-face like we are expected to perform. And I've been having parents that work with me on that since I put it to them that way. All right, and for our academic targets, you will see here during the 2021 school year, scores are very low. Math 3, the data speaks for itself, and that's how I present it to the staff. So we are looking to go at least 10% by the 21-22 school year. So we're looking for our 38% to go to at least a 49%. However, we did take benchmarks in October, and we went to a 26.30, but that's a foundational course. And in that foundational Math 1 course, these kids were actually given foundational tests, well, not a foundational test, they were actually given that check-in test, but there were problems that they were not covering in the foundational courses. So they got a little discouraged with that, but after talking with them and asking the teachers to just coach them along, I thought that was pretty good just with that 26%, because they were not taking a foundation type piece of test. For the Math 3, Of course, you can see here the 0% 2021, but on our benchmarks, they went up to 15.40%. Then for the targeted, we're looking to go up at least 10%. It's still very low. We know it's very low, but we just have to face the facts and get our kids back to where we need for them to be. English 3 for the 2021 school year was 73%. During our benchmark, they went to 60%. So we're looking for that 73% to increase by 10%, 83%. Biology, 33%. They did not have a benchmark for biology. This biology class that you see here is also our foundation of biology. So Math 1 and biology will move next semester with that same teacher to the actual Math 1 class and the actual biology class where they will be taking the EOC in the spring. So we're looking for 33% to go up to at least 43%, okay? We give you some action plans, and I'm not going to read through all of these. However, if you notice in your folder, I did give you all a copy on that last page of our action steps on what we are doing and how we plan to do it to meet our student needs. Because we can see based on the data across the board that our kids just did poorly with the type of learning that they were getting, and a lot of it because they wouldn't attend classes. Some of the things we are doing to help with this, we have what we call JOUS, and JOUS is like our lunchtime / homeroom time. And in JOUS, we're looking for an example. The seniors will have that time to work on their senior projects. Also, JOUS is a time where students can go back to their other teachers and make up any type of work that they are missing. And they can also go to their teachers and get extra tutoring on standards they're still having problems with. So that's how we're utilizing our JOUS time. Okay. And again, these are just some more things that you have in your folder here to show you what we're doing as our action steps to meet the needs of our students. And that's the end of one New Tech High School presentation.
Madam Chair? This JOS, not Joyce, but JOS, okay. This JOS, how much time is that?
That's an hour and 10 minutes because it includes our lunchtime while, for an example, if the freshmen and sophomores going to lunch, juniors and seniors are in JOS. So they rotate going to lunch during that time also.
So during that time, they can work on their senior projects?
Senior projects, if they're missing assignments, they have the opportunity to make up those assignments. If they are having problems with any standard covered in the classroom, they can go back and talk to that teacher for extra tutoring help on that particular standard or whatever it is students are facing. For an example, we've been having a lot of absences because of quarantining. So we have the ECHO platform. That's where teachers upload the students' work, and being that we're one-to-one, they can take their computers home, and they can still go on ECHO and pull off those assignments to make up. In addition to, teachers are still supplying links to students so they can join live classes while they're at home to still get that instructional help.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, first, do you know for your Math 3 at the 0% for 2021, do you know what that number, what was the number of students?
I think she had a class, I wasn't there during that time, but I believe it was a class of 20 students.
And nobody?
No student made proficiency.
Okay.
Was this a certified teacher?
Yes, but this was during the COVID.
Right.
Mhm.
I understand that, but we're talking 0.
0%, yes, ma'am.
I have a question just to understand. So math and biology are year-long, correct?
No, well,
Well,
pretty
they-
much it
there's
is
a
for the
foundation.
foundational piece in fall, and then they go into the actual class where they're gonna be testing in the spring. So yes, pretty much year long.
So my question then is, what does that math and biology count as?
The foundation class.
That's a foundational class.
I understand that. So then does it count as a math class? It can't count as math 1. What does it count
No,
as?
it counts just as a math foundational course. And the same thing with the biology, just a biology foundational course. and then they will get that credit once they go into the actual course in the spring and pass
So
the
then they
course.
still have to take 3 maths after, and
Foundation is just pretty much getting them ready for the class, especially during
no, I
being out
get
for
that.
COVID.
My question is, does it count as, it counts as a math, which is really an elective?
Right.
It
Pretty
doesn't
much.
count as math 1, 2, or 3.
No, it's not counted as that particular class right now because it's foundation. So really, it'll count for them when they progress on to Math 1 or biology. So with the foundational piece, that Math 1 is not counted as the actual Math 1 class.
understand that.
Biology is not counted as biology.
It's like an elective, because it doesn't count toward that course if they're going to college.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And with your graduation rate, one of your performance goals says to increase to 100%. Is it not already, it's already 100%?
Last year, it was 76.9%.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm
Any
good.
other
Thank you.
questions? Thank you so much, Mr. Green. We appreciate that.
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joust.
Don't jousting her, because she'll win.
You too,
You
sir.
too.
Not, you said not yours, huh?
No, Linda, don't joust with Linda, she'll
Okay, that concludes our 7 principals and presentations. Mr. Sutton? I don't have any board chair announcements. Let me just go there. Okay.
I don't have any announcements either. We do recommend approval of the school improvement plans. Now that you've heard from each of those principals, we certainly thank you for your attention to those and the discussion and questions. So with that, we recommend that the board approve the 2021-2022 school improvement plans for all 7 schools.
Madam Chair, I recommend that the board approves the school improvement plans for all schools presented.
Second.
Motion's been properly made by Board Member Tally Brain, second by Board Member Long, that we approve the 2021-2022 school improvement plans for all schools as presented. Discussion? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. I do have one announcement for board chair announcements. This is our work session, and from here on out, for work sessions, we will not be doing public comments. So in the future, public comments will be heard or read at the business meeting, which is the first meeting that we have, the second Tuesday of the month. So for public comments, we will be presenting those at the, hearing those at the business meeting. Okay. Is that all? If no other business, I call for a motion to convene. I'm sorry, to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make the motion to adjourn at this time.
Second.
Motion has been properly made by Board Member Long, second by Board Member Tally Brain, that we adjourn the meeting. Discussion? Hearing none, would you vote, please? Now by the voting sign of aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion, meeting is adjourned.
Sims, I do have a question though.
You got a question?
So is the regular board meeting is now called a business meeting?
It's always been a business meeting.
Are we off?